Excuse me. I do not hear anything. Because I forgot to click the join with audio. Did anyone?
Can you hear us? Can you hear
Oh
me?
yeah, now I can hear you. Good,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, we haven't started the meeting yet. It'll start at 9:30,
Okay.
and that's why you haven't heard anything. So we ask you that
Okay.
you remain muted until the meeting starts or
Okay,
until someone
sure.
asks you to speak.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
I'm on the call too for the zoning meeting, and I will mute myself until it starts. Do I just do *6 again?
Okay, good morning, y'all. It's 9:30. Go ahead and start, Liz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning. This is December 20th, 2021. Next slide, Maurice. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All board commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version, and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that calling users can unmute by using 6. The next slide, Maurice.
Liz, I don't know if you
All
noticed,
meeting
but you're
activity.
breaking up. I don't know if she is for everyone else.
She is.
And I hear a tremendous echo.
Yep.
Let me see if I have to a little bit.
You were signed on with 2 earlier.
Is that any better? I just closed one. Did you see it go away? Let's see. Is it gone, Maurice?
No, it still sounds like an echo.
It still sounds like an echo.
Oh, I know what I've done, Maurice. Should I keep reading it, or would you like to read it?
I'll read it. Just go ahead and mute yourself. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Madam Chair, the meeting is yours.
Thank you. Go ahead and call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Madam Chair, Ms. Barnes? Ms. Barnes? Mrs. Brown?
I do not see Ms. Barnes.
No, I'm pretty sure actually she contacted me this morning. I have to check that email. I think maybe she's not going to be here. Sorry about that. Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Vaith?
Present.
Ms. Britt?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Liz, mute yourself so we don't. Thank you. All right, we have a request from Director Collier this morning to postpone calendar number 21-176.
Madam Chair,
For
I do have a statement from Director Collier that he would like to have read, if you don't mind.
Okay, just let me, I want to finish the address and then
Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no problem. So Director Collier would like to postpone calendar number 21-176. That's at 15736 Lorraine Avenue. Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Hello, councilmen and all. I am sending this correspondence to you all with regard to calendar number 176-21. Included is the rationale which led to my request to postpone this case for Monday. I don't have a dog in this fight. The only thing I care about in this case is fairness, transparency, and the integrity of the process. The roles we all play can be challenging because it requires real and constant balance with respect to listening and decision making. I sent the request to postpone given the tabling at Friday's Planning Commission meeting. Councilman Slife provided information for the BZA meeting on Monday to express his position on the matter. The request to postpone was made by me, and it's the board's decision whether or not to honor the request. I did not concur with the councilman's position not to postpone, although I respect his position as stated in this correspondence. The councilman has the right to express his position. As I stated on Friday to the Planning Commission, we do not have any issues with the proposed conditional use given that previous conditional uses have been granted on several other occasions with more intense proposals in this type of district. More specifically, the activities articulated at the meeting by the applicant do not appear to pose a threat or create adverse conditions. There is a distinct difference in the activities that the applicant expressed and what is being conveyed as community issues. Use of property can directly impact quality of life issues, which is the rationale for rejecting of the proposal. Noise and the other items mentioned are not commensurate with what the activities are as expressed by the property owner. The conditional use matters which the Commission has the authority to grant. The use relates to the variances requested. In essence, there are two bodies, BZA and Planning Commission, that are being asked by the applicant to vary from the code. If BZA finds that the Commission tabled, I am not sure they will be able to make an informed determination. The use is driving the need for the variances. I believe that the use decision must be established to give credence to the variance request. I would imagine that the board will want the same clarity mentioned in the postponement request. With respect to use, we are seeing these and other variance requests because our code is conflicts with modern design and use of property. Retail and other uses will evolve given our current climate, and we will need to vary from our existing code because it does not fully meet the needs of an evolving development environment. Bringing people from all over our city to neighborhoods across the city can be a positive and bring new customers and patrons to a community. In the future, there will be a mixture of retail types and establishments as more people become entrepreneurs due to the current economic climate. Therefore, expect more non-traditional uses in retail districts. With regard to the parking, a verbal agreement was made, and the tenant and the local bar establishment to provide
for Cleveland. So
the posture of the CDC and councilmen were also made clear at the Planning Commission meeting. The determination of the commission, however, was to table the matter. I personally would have preferred a decision be made by the commission. However, that did not occur. Lastly, people bring their values, biases, and fears to decision-making. That's a fact, and this case is a good example. Although the transaction here is about parking and use, there is a perceived concern that there is a desire for certain types of businesses and individuals in certain areas of our city. These are just facts. This is not an indictment on anyone. Our only resolution to this, to be fair, transparent, equitable, and allow people their due process regardless of how they are and where they seek to invest. We want to ensure that our zoning and regulatory decisions are not used as exclusionary tools. We have to evaluate each case because we are living in a rapidly changing environment where people are becoming creative with respect to how they are making a living. We will need a regulatory environment that offers some flexibility. Of course, there are variances needed, and of course, a use change is needed. The process allows for an applicant to request a variance from the law. This level of rigor to stop this type of use as described by the applicant is somewhat questionable and was also concerning to the Planning Commission. The uses identified do not appear to be threatening. I, however, am speaking as a non-resident, and we must respect the lived experience of people who live in the community, whether their issues are real, perceived, or motivated by other things. Lastly, the process is the one thing that people should rely on to sort out our differences. The reason the applicants are going through the process is to address the use and parking issues raised that they were admittedly unaware of. These are my thoughts and why I recommend postponement in my earlier correspondence. It's okay if you don't agree, and it's okay if the board doesn't grant it. The decision is the board's, not mine. However, my position and perspective is mine, and that is what I am providing for the board for consideration. I don't want to debate. I just want to ensure that everybody be able to have the opportunity to accurately express themselves and present their case. I hope you not only hear me, but I hope that you feel me and can respect where I am coming from. That was my transparent rationale for the postponement request. All decision-making rests with our boards and commissions. Thank you, everyone. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you,
As a
Maurice.
resident, can you tell me who that correspondent was written by? I didn't catch that in the beginning.
Yes, that was from the director. That was Freddie Collier, the director of the City Planning Commission.
Okay. I'm a resident, and I'm just trying to figure out who that was, because it seems like he's in agreement with what's going on. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Britt, am I able to respond to that? This is Councilman Slight.
Yes, hopefully it's not as long as Director Collier's letter, but yes, go ahead.
It will not be. I think that the part of his letter that jumped out to me was his admission that he's a non-resident. I have received many inputs from residents and business owners in the immediate area or around this proposed variance over the course of months. This is a business that has been operating illegally without a certificate of occupancy since the summer. The local development corporation made many efforts to assist the property owner and the tenant, and those were not met until there was a violation. My request is that this be heard today. I think that by not hearing it today, we're simply kicking the can, and we're at a point of an impasse, and I think that a resolution just needs to be made. And then lastly, I had mentioned that I received a number of inputs and opposition from residents and business owners, and I'm confident in my ability to discern bias and other malintent versus credible arguments. And given the scale and the number that came in and the consistency of the concerns, I think that there are legitimate concerns that would stem from the granting of these variances, and I think that it's time for this all to be discussed openly and to be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We were all hit with the letter to postpone this morning, but after reading that letter and also hearing from the councilman, I'm tending to lean toward the postponement today, mainly because at BZA we like to be the last stop. And excuse me, and the fact that that city planning has postponed it, the commission has postponed it from hearing the arguments. And so it kind of goes through, city planning commission and design review, whatever it needs to do before the cases come to us, so that we have all the information we need from all those other decision bodies to make a full and fair decision. And I do believe that with planning commission tabling, and we don't have that information here before us today, that it would be hard for us to make an informed decision. So I will say that we will postpone this case, but I also need the the backing of the board. So if any of my board members have an objection to that, please state it now, or, let me know if you're okay with postponing this case.
Chairwoman, this is Member Faith. I am in agreement. As you stated, we are typically the last stop. And since it was tabled by Planning Commission, I think it needs to go through that before we proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Madam Chair, I will support your decision.
Thank you very much. I apologize to everyone who got on the call today for this case today. I know it was none of us were expecting this, but we do like to get all the information that we can up front before we hear cases. So I apologize. Liz, can we get them a new date?
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
So do we want to do the end of January or the first week in February? The end of January would be the 31st, and the first week of February is the 7th.
We can do the end of January. We just won't
Can
load
I ask
that.
how the residents get heard?
Ma'am, we're in the middle of deliberation, so hold on a second.
Well, I know, but I would like our concerns to be heard before you make any other deliberations. How do we just sit here and wait every time until you guys postpone it again? And as residents and taxpayers and as people that are affected by this business keep sitting and waiting, and we're on the phone, we're prepared to speak, and we keep getting postponed. How do we get heard? By writing a letter from someone in a position of power, or as a position as a resident? Come on.
Ma'am, I understand
So
your frustration.
You guys are voting on something without hearing from us. That's unfair.
Well, we don't want to take testimony we need to have all the facts in front of us. And so we can't take testimony about a case if we're postponing it. I'm sorry if you're upset about that, but that's our process.
For the last 6 months, where is all the evidence? Where's all the paperwork? If they've been planning this, why aren't they prepared?
Ma'am, I can't answer that. I can only answer for the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm not comfortable hearing the case without all the facts in front of me right now. I'm sorry about
Let me tell you
that.
the one fact. It's just not parking that's an issue.
Okay, ma'am, we can't take testimony. We can't take testimony today. I'm sorry about that.
But you took letters today. Okay. This is frustrating, and again, this is the City of Cleveland bureaucracy that I hope changes with the upcoming administration, but who knows if that'll happen.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Britt, this is Councilman Slife again. If I could briefly just mention I'm a member of the Planning Commission, and I voted against postponing this on Friday. The reason that motion did pass is there was a concern or a question of if the applicant would be able to obtain a formal parking arrangement. The parking arrangement referenced in Director Collier's email this morning refers to a verbal agreement with the business across the street who has already entered into a formal agreement for those parking spaces with another area business. And the clarification that I received from that business owner was that while he was not opposed to people parking in his lot, this third business has first priority. So he can't guarantee its availability, nor is he willing to enter into a signed agreement to any effect. I sent a letter to you all through Ms. Kukla over the weekend, outlining my opposition, including that point. And as I mentioned in my earlier statements, I believe that we're at an impasse. I believe that this keeps getting passed between different bodies. I also think that there's a building code issue with this, that this is not safely operating. It's a danger, a hazard to public safety if it continues to operate illegally. So I want the Board of Zoning Appeals to consider that as it votes on this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, all the board members have spoken. They're okay with postponing this case. I know that's not a popular opinion today, but I want to have all the facts in front of me from all other decision bodies before we make this deliberation and make a decision.
I understand, Ms. Britt, and I look forward to the future meeting. However, I do want to state publicly that I think that Director Collier's email was entirely inappropriate. It circumvents my role as the representative of the residents of the community. I think that he overplayed his hand, and he appears to be inserting his own opinions and biases into this case inappropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We will make sure we have that on the record. All right, Liz, so we're going to put them on for January, you said 31st?
Yes.
Okay. And just make sure we don't have a lot of cases that day so we can hear all the arguments.
Will do.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask one question? Are they allowed to serve liquor now at this establishment?
Ma'am, we don't cover that. You have to talk to Building and Housing or your councilman. He's on right now, so you can contact him after we close this out.
Great, because you know the holidays and the parties are starting, and we have to deal with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Alana, let's go to Wade Park.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Calendar number 21-186 at 8304 Wade Park Avenue. Joshua Bates, owner, proposes to use existing two-story frame single-family residence as a Type A home daycare in a D2 multifamily residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. With that, to my colleague for the swearing in.
Sure. I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address. Ms. Bates, please take yourself off mute and swear in for testimony.
Okay, I do. My name is Joshua Bates, and my address is 8304 Wade Park Avenue.
Madam Chair, just to add, if you're a call-in user and you're muted, hit *6 on your telephone to unmute yourself in case you want to give testimony for this case.
Okay, is Ms. Bates it?
It sounds like it.
All righty, we'll get history of the property.
Will there be an echo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In the Record Administration Office, I found that in 1965, a permit was issued to enclose a side yard with a fence. There are no variances on file for this address and nothing of note in the more recent history. Is that better, Maurice?
Much.
Yes, you sound great.
All right, thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request, 1, will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. 2, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And 3, that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Bates, go ahead and present your case.
Okay, I run a Type B daycare at this time, and the need to provide care for more children, there's a need. I have a wait list, and the only way to be able to offer, more care as well as hire staff is for me to be zoned business retail. That's my case. I did get letters from the community, from all of my neighbors stating that, an increase in children or increase in care wouldn't cause a bother in the neighborhood. That's about it.
You're currently running a Type B now. How many kids do you have now?
I actually have 8. I have 6 on first shift and 2 on second. And what I'm seeing is a request for additional care on first shift, and I'm at my max at this time.
And so you will be increasing to how many children?
We would be able to care for 12 per shift.
Okay, and what are the shifts, like what are your actual hours of operation?
So we're actually 24 hours,
Okay.
but the shifts right now, based on my enrollment, my first child arrives around 5:30 a.m. and they're usually here till about 3. And then we have a 3 to 11. And once I get staff, we do have a request for someone third, but that would more so be like 10 to 6 or 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
This is the same house that you have 8 kids and you want to increase to 12. Do you have room for this type of increasement of kids?
I do. My whole first floor is a daycare. So none of my living space is on the first floor. As far as the square footage, because I did have someone from Starting Point come out, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I do have the documents. I think it's enough space for 16 based on the 35 square feet per child that's required. I think it's enough for 6. It might be 14 over here. Might be enough for 14 children. They have classrooms.
You're testifying you want to increase to 12 though.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Maurice, anyone from city planning or the councilman weigh in on this?
Well, Madam Chair, I do have a letter of support from the councilman, which I had up on screen earlier. Councilman Jones
I couldn't see it. Okay, gotcha.
Supports this use. So as you know, we are usually hesitant to approve the larger daycare types in residential areas. However, there's a couple of factors here. Wade Park is somewhat of a relatively busy street, not strictly residential. So it's not a quiet residential street where you wouldn't really want to have a lot of children and a lot of, the traffic that's associated with the drop-offs. So, Wade Park, again, is a fairly busy street. I believe there is a daycare immediately adjacent to her. I think that's on the right in the greenhouse. Is that true, Ms. Bates?
That is correct.
And she has a very large yard separating her from that other daycare, and they have another large yard. So she has a lot of space around the house. And, in looking at the older pictures on Google, Ms. Bates has done a very nice job of maintaining and actually upgrading this house, and I commend you for that. I think it looks great. And for all those reasons and the fact that there has been community support, the councilman is in support of this one, and another councilman is in support of another one. So I know Ms. Bates must be a very reputable operator, so we support this variance.
Great, thank you, Maurice. I will open it up to my board for any questions or comments or a motion.
I do have a question. Ms. Bates, when you said that there's no residence on the first floor, does someone live on the second floor?
Me, I turned my second floor. It's like an apartment. I have a kitchen, sitting room, bedroom, everything. So each one of the daycares that me and my family operate, our first floor is strictly for daycare services. So we have classrooms. We do not live on the first floor of any of the homes. All of our living arrangements is on the second floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would show you, but
Ms. Faith, any questions?
Just wondered if Maurice could put up the floor plan again and blow it a little bit for me.
There you go.
Thank you. All right. If there's no more discussion from board members, I'll go ahead and make a motion. Madam Chair, we have a support letter from the Councilman Bashir Jones. We have statement from City Planning with regard to the context of the neighborhood and the condition of the homes and the yards. And it seems that Ms. Bates has gone under the necessary review and complies with the necessary square footage to accommodate her requested or her hope to increase to 12 children per shift. So with all that information in hand, I move that we go ahead and grant her the variance for this.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown, second. Go ahead, call the roll, please, Ms. Cooper.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Bates,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
That was
Calendar-
not me replying, Liz. I think Miss Bates misheard my last name for her last name. So this is Member Faith, and I vote yes.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's okay.
So calendar number 21-186 is granted. It'll be ratified when we meet again on January 3rd, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Great, thank you. Ms. Bates, I think you have the second case as well for Keys Avenue?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Ms. Faith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a busy day for Ms. Bates.
Yeah.
So moving on to calendar number 21-187. This is at 8107 Keys Avenue. This is in a different council ward. Jesh, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing your first name.
It's Jay. It's Jay. You can call me Jay, but it's Jay Shauna.
Okay. Jay Shauna, thank you. Jay Shauna Bates, owner, proposes to establish use as a type A daycare in a C1 multifamily residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. I believe, do we need her in again, or can we just proceed with her statement, Madam Chair?
Yeah, she was already sworn in. I believe we can just continue.
Yes.
All right.
Well, do we have anyone else? Do we have, Madam Chair, do we have anyone else
for this case?
testifying? Doesn't appear so. Again, *6 if you're on the telephone.
Okay, go ahead with history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, I found that in 1928, a permit was issued to erect a garage. 1953, there were alterations to a dwelling. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, we found that in 2007, a permit was issued to board up and secure all first floor accessible openings. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request, 1, will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. 2, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And 3, that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bates, go ahead and give the same information you did for the last case for this one.
Right. Just to give a little information, this is like a family business. So my sister lives there. I own the property, but my sister lives there. So what we've done is split our homes so that we can care for children based on the age group. So that's the reason for the need of the third. So the house next door, the greenhouse on Wade Park, is my mom's house. That's where children age infant, toddler is cared for. The house that we just approved to increase, which I really appreciate, is where our preschoolers are cared for. That's the house that I live in. That's the one I work at. The house on Keys is for our school agers. So that's children 5 and up, usually before and after school, summer programs, when schools are closed, things of that nature. And again, we're extremely blessed being able to only care for 6. The house on Keys is actually at the full capacity. So we're just requesting an increase. Therefore, we can provide care for additional children. Again, at that house is school agers. So it's not as much like outdoor play, recess times. It's before school, and then like after school until the summer. And usually we have them very involved in a lot of summer activities where we're not, well, before COVID, where we're not necessarily like in the house majority of the time. But again, that house is set up where the first floor is all daycare. And then the second floor is the living space. There is a shared kitchen. So whenever my sister needs to cook for her and her son, the kitchen is shared. But the rest of the house on the first floor is all daycare.
And although you're doing school age, is this 24 hours as well, or do you have actual hours of operation for this house?
Actually, at this location, it closed at midnight. So it's like 5 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So no, it's not 24 hours. Just the 2 one-way park is 24 hours.
And your sister who takes care of those kids lives at this property?
That is correct. Her name's Martina Brown.
Right, and I see we have a letter of support from Councilman Griffin on the screen. So Maurice, what's city planning's position?
Madam Chair, similar to the last case, we are in support of this case. Again, we like to look at all the factors surrounding each case, and one of the things I always like to look at for the daycares is the condition of the home. And again, this home is very well maintained. I would, if I had children, I would definitely have no problem leaving them in this home. And she also has support from the councilman, which, as you know, is very important in these cases because they are usually in touch with the community. And we also have some community, some of the neighbors signing off in support. So we definitely support this project.
Thank you, Maurice. I will open it up to my board for any further questions or comments or a motion.
All right. Since there are no other questions or comments, Madam Chair, given the testimony from city planning as to the condition of the house and the area, and also the letter of support from the councilman, it seems Ms. Bates is doing a nice job with her child care facilities. So I move that we go ahead and approve this variance for her.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown, second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Cooper.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-187 is granted. It'll be ratified on January 3rd when we meet again, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, Ms. Bates.
Thank you. Good luck.
Work going. Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, moving on, Ms. Bates.
Moving on. Okay, moving on to calendar number 21-190 at 3304 East 118th Street. Carl Jones Owners proposes to change the use from a 2-family to a 3-family dwelling in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Brown.
I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do, Carl Jones.
And your address, please?
3304 East 118th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120.
Anyone else for this case?
What was that?
Madam Chair?
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our records, you might found that in 1907, a permit was issued to repair a dwelling. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, We found that in 2015, a permit was issued to board up one standard size door. And then in 2020, rental registration was issued to the property. And that's all that I have.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the minimum lot size requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request, one, will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance. Two, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And three, that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request, one, will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. Two, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And three, that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Jones, this is your property, correct?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, present your case.
Well, I bought this property quite a while ago. And at the time it was boarded up. I thought that it was a two-family dwelling when I bought it initially. And when I was cleaning it up and repairing it, I found out there was a three-family out of it. The first floor had 2 bedrooms and a bath, kitchen, dining, everything. The second floor had the same thing, and the upstairs has its own entry, and it had another bath, kitchen on the third floor. It's something that's been there as long as I know about. It's got 3 gas meters. It's got 3 electric meters in the building, and it had it when I bought the building that way. I haven't changed anything. All I've done is painted and cleaned it up.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question of the applicant?
Sure.
Mr. Jones, I have on the screen what I think is that the third floor.
That's the
floor
third
plan?
floor.
Because it's okay. Thank you. It's just listed. It says existing second floor plan. I figured that was just a typo, but it looked like the third floor. I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like this third floor is definitely laid out as a third unit with 3 meters and everything. So it was probably illegally done by whoever owned it beforehand. So I understand why you're coming here to make this a legal third unit. Maurice, anyone from city planning, or is it you?
I think it's going to be me. We support this variance. If you look at well, first of all, for the reasons that you just stated, it's a full apartment up there. And if you look at the aerial, you can see that these are mostly 2-family houses already on this side of the side of the street. So it's not a predominantly single-family neighborhood. This house has probably been 3, as Mr. Jones stated, it's probably been 3 units for many, many years. You can't tell that it's 3 units from the street, which is one of the criteria the board is supposed to look at. And I also, this is another case where I looked at some older pictures on Google, and this house has been well maintained, and I can tell that Mr. Jones has made some improvements to the house. It looks much better, and if those are all great positives, so we definitely support this.
Thank you, Maurice. I will hand it over to my board now for any questions, comments, or a motion.
Madam Chair, hearing no other questions, I'll move to a motion. It seems we have a consensus that this dwelling has been a 3-unit dwelling for many years, since it has already been set up with separate utilities for the 3rd unit. As Maurice stated from city planning, it does not look any different really from the outside as the other 2 families on the street, and it does not look like it's a 3-family unit from the exterior. It has been well maintained by Mr. Jones's improvements. So with all that being said, I move that we go ahead and approve this for him.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown, second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar 21-190 is granted. It'll be ratified on January 3rd, and we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. I think the next two cases you can read together, Ms. Faith.
Yes, we have a bundle. So we have 21-194 and 21-195. 194 is at 11413 Britt Oval. 195 is at 11415 Britt Oval. And Entrada Woodland Heights SLT owner proposes to erect a 2-story frame single family residence with an attached garage with an open deck over the garage in a B1 open space and recreation district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. And 195 is the same owner proposing to erect a 2-story single family residence with an attached garage with an open deck over the garage, also in a B1 open space and recreational district. Both cases have 5 variances that they are seeking, Madam Chair, and with that to Member Brown.
I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do. Andrew Gottlieb, Key State Homes, 3187 Old Brandon Road, Pepper Pike, Ohio, 44124.
I do. Brad Robinson and Jessica Ruff, 2708 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive.
I do. Marka Fields, Cleveland City Planning.
We have our architect on as well.
He should swear in as well.
Okay, Gary Neola, 1151 Sherbrooke Drive, South Russell, Ohio.
Anyone else?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I do. I'm Derek Kumler, a design engineer with Thorson Baker and Associates, and I do.
And your address, please?
3030 West Streetsboro.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
All right, thank you. History of the properties, please, if there's any.
Right. I didn't find anything really for these addresses. I can give you the zoning history. It was originally zoned 2-family in 1929. In 2003, it was placed in a planned unit development. In 2016, it was placed in the open space recreation. And then in 2018, it was changed to the multifamily district. Again, there's no records in our records administration office, no variances, and nothing of note in the more recent history. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum front yard setback, minimum glazing, principal pedestrian entrance location, minimum frontage feature, and minimum height above grade requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request, 1, will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. 2, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And 3, that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Who's going to be the spokesperson for this case?
Gary Neola, I will
speak on behalf of the project. The first variance that we're talking about here is the setback, and we've adjusted our building location to provide that we're 12-foot setback, so we're within. There's no practical difficulty here to present because we're going to meet the zoning code, so that variance is not necessary.
And what variance is that again?
So that's a variance. I think it's under your zoning code 337.031.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
Madam Chair, that would be number one on
the list. Okay.
Number 194, and actually number one on both of those.
All right. Thank you.
So the second item has to do with glazing. There's a requirement for 20%. We're proposing that we would have 16.7%. And I would say on the remaining variances that we're talking about, they've been presented and very much enthusiastically been supported by the design review and the planning commission. So just as a sidebar, but yeah, we're in order to stick with this design that we've developed here. We're looking for a variance to be just a little bit underneath the 20% requirement for first floor glazing.
Mr. Neola, so it seems like all the variances are identical. So are these houses the same?
They're identical. It's a duplex unit that's a townhome. But
okay, just wanted to make sure so we don't have to talk about two houses. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, no, I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you. Yeah, these both have the same issues. In fact, if we go back to the first variance, we're closer than 12 foot, but we're still within the requirement. So therefore, both of them do not need a variance for the first as a setback. Second, on the second one though, the glazing, we're fairly close on the glazing requirement, but given the design we're working with and how it's been so well received, we're looking at this as an opportunity to maintain our design.
All your testimony today?
Yeah, I think that, as far as, we're looking at trying to keep windows that are, they work for a couple of reasons. They provide the egress we need for emergency egress on the second floor, where our design keeps the windows the same, basically the same width. They're casement windows. When you get into casement windows, you end up with larger windows that are that don't function well. So from a functional perspective, we feel it would be a mistake to try and make these wider. So that's where we're working at, trying to make these windows. If anybody's familiar with casement windows, there gets to be a problem when they open. They're too wide for the hardware to support. We want this to be a quality project at the end of the day. We don't want to try and maximize a window to hit the 20%, so that we are, we end up with mechanical problems down the road.
I just want to add to that. And when we went through design review in the Southeast,
who's talking?
Andrew Gottlieb, Key State Homes.
Okay, we just have to always know who's talking before you start. Okay, go ahead.
And I just wanted to just chime in and let you know that when we went through design review in the Southeast District, one of the comments that we got were from several people that actually asked us if we can reduce the windows even more. So that was the feedback that we got through design reviews. They wanted a reduction in windows. And that was something that I believe Marco was a part of as the planner from that district. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the project team want to speak before I move on?
I think we're okay.
Okay, great. I will call Marco Fields from City Planning.
Yes, this is Marco Fields, City Planning. We approved this through design review. This is an area where we have been working for a while to try to get a housing development to come in. One of the things that we liked about this particular development is the fact that it offers a market rate house, but it's at a rate that is not quite as high as some of the other new housing that's coming in a lot of different neighborhoods. And so it offers, it's a market that is offered to probably more middle income residents. And so that was an attractive thing, I think, to the residents and to the council person and to us as city planning. So the design we thought was really nice. And when it went to planning commission, that was one of the things that they commented on, was how they were able, even though they didn't meet all of the requirements of townhouse, they appreciated the fact that they went a little bit further with the design to make it something that was really attractive. So like typically it would require the stairs to be, I think it's 2 feet and at the entrance, and they didn't do that. They have it flush at grade. And so that also allows it to be something that can, where you can age in place. So they have everything is accessible on the first floor, but there's also a second floor. So if there's a point where you can't climb stairs, you have everything accessible to you at the first floor and you don't have to climb stairs to get in. So it was just a really attractive development, something that we thought could be beneficial and offers actually something slightly different from, you know, what we have available currently in the neighborhood. So we are supportive.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. I'll open it up to the board for any questions or comments.
Madam Chair, I just have a comment. I do understand casement windows, so I do appreciate the sizing issue and the need to handle the variance number 2 on the glazing perspective. And as Marka Fields from City Planning also mentioned, we can appreciate the fact that that this is a project that it will allow folks to age in place based on the design. Though I see it's not ADA compliant, but it is zero inches off grade, so that is a big help for our high percentage of senior citizens in this city, anyone who wants to move into that. So with those comments made, and the statement that this project has also received approval from design review and from planning, I would move that we approve these variances for 21-194 and 21-195, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Madam Chair, before I second, there was someone sworn in with an address on MLK, and I'm not sure if they commented yet. Are there any?
No, we were waiting for the, this is Brad Robinson at 2708 Martin Luther King.
Thank you. Totally forgot about that. Go ahead, Mr. Yeah.
No, that's okay. We were waiting for the testimony of the on behalf of the developer. So with the point number 1, we don't need to address that. The glazing, we were just not sure on exactly what that was, because our big point was there's still a lot of gunshots in this neighborhood. So the size of the windows being smaller is better, because we were concerned with how many windows were going to be there. And with the, you know, it's great to have street lighting, but it's so bright that at night it makes it a problem for the bedrooms. And the last point was number 3, the change of the entrance. We just request that, and we had this issue when we moved into our unit, is we had to request an address change, that the address be where the front door is, because of 911 and deliveries and people coming to your house. So that's basically all we were opposed to.
All right, thank you. Make sure the design routine, the project team hears the residents' concerns there. All right, thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Brown. Totally forgot. All right, so can I have a second for the motion now?
Yes, with that, Member Brown seconds.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar numbers 21-194 and 21-195 are granted. They will be ratified on January 3rd, and we will send you a letter.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your take your time, and we look forward to this project coming to happen, to come to reality.
I will look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, there is one thing that we were talking about that it wasn't actually on the list here, and we're putting this model, these two units, as this is a part of a larger development. The street that this is going on currently is not a dedicated street. I don't know if that matters to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I just wanted, it will be a dedicated street as the development gets finished off and platted, but I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, thank you. No, that doesn't affect our opinion any, but thank you.
Fantastic. Great. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have brought that up before you voted, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. You got our approval, so we'll cross any other bridges further down the road.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, moving on to 21-143. This was postponed from December 13th. This is at 1041 Auburn Avenue. 1101 Auburn Holdings LLC owner proposes to erect a 3 to 4 story single-family residence with attached garage in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances, as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 7. And number 7 states that city planning review approval is required. The third postponement was made at the request of the board due to a scheduling issue. The second postponement was to allow time for the ownership to transfer into the appellant's name. And the first postponement was made at the request of the councilman, and that would be Councilman McCormick, to allow time for community review. So with all that, I will now send it over to Member Brown for swearing in.
Sure. I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address.
To Tyler Rice, 2943 Scranton Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 4113.
I do, Donna Gregonis. Our office is 3308 Lorraine Avenue.
I do, Kate O'Neill, 1201 Starkweather.
I do, Jonathan Petrie, 1217 Auburn Avenue.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History department. Did we read that already, Liz? Last time?
No, we haven't had any testimony. No. So the property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 1963, it was changed to two-family. In our Records Administration Office, we found that a permit was issued in 1907 to erect a two-story frame building occupied by one family. In 1923, a permit was issued to erect an addition. In 1941, another addition was erected to the rear of the building, and at that time, it was going to be occupied by two dwellings and a store. There is one variance on file in calendar 78-78. In 1978, a variance was granted to maintain a tavern and 2 suites for this address. And then in the more recent history, I didn't find anything of note. That's all that I have.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area, minimum side street setback, distance, front yard setback, rear yard, and garage setback requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. 2, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And 3, that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And we have a note from Assistant Director of Law Wagner that section 329.04C may limit the board's ability to grant the required front yard setback variance.
Thank you. Before we get started, Maurice or Liz, do we know what's going on with this front yard setback before we get going?
Yeah, so Madam Chair, let me zoom. Oh, that's my graphic right there. With the front yard setback, we feel that the board is able to grant this variance because, as you can see from the orange line, this property is shallower in depth than all of the other properties on the block, which I believe is one of the exceptions that the board has in order to grant a front yard setback variance. And the house is also going to be lined up with the adjacent, the yellow house right next door.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to get that cleared up before we move on. All right, Mr. Rice, this is your house, correct?
That is correct. So
All right.
I am the architect and the prospective purchaser of this property. We have been working feverishly to try and get this property transferred. That was the reason why for one of the previous postponements. We still have yet to transfer this property. We have ran into many issues with the seller's banking institution in terms of their paperwork and sort of lack of urgency, I guess, to get this transferred. So I am asking the board as today to hear the case and have the discussion about this project, but to hold ratification for the variances until the property actually transfers.
We can do that, and you had enough postponement, so we don't want to hold you up any longer. So we can definitely grant that request if the variances are granted. So go ahead.
I appreciate that. So there, as mentioned, there are 6 variances that requesting. One is the area variance for the house. The house is situated towards the front of the property. It is a rather small lot. It's much shorter in depth compared to the adjacent properties, and also the reason why the area is bumped up is because there is a habitable space in the basement, which increases the total area for the house. The setbacks for the side streets, the house is positioned as close to center in the property, trying to maintain or get as close to the setbacks as required on the east side. But just given the nature of the size of the lot, it's very difficult to try and achieve the necessary setback requirements. And as mentioned, the front yard setback, the house is situated so that it is in alignment with the house immediately to the east, the yellow house. And if you also look at the adjacent properties to the east down the street, they're all in similar setbacks between 7 and 9 feet. Down the street, at least 150 feet. Really, even to the west too, the same distances are really close to that. The rear yard setback. So this house has a detached 2-car garage. It's not really an attached garage. There is an unconditioned space between the main house and the garage. There is a privacy wall that does extend on the west. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I'll go to city planning. Maurice, is that you?
Should we hear from Donna Gregonis first, Madam Chair?
Sure, why not? Go ahead, Donna.
Hi, good morning. This is Donna Gregonis, Neighborhood Development Director for Ohio City and Tremont West Development Corporations. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board for listening to us and considering the community comments. So this Tyler did come before the community in the summer, so it's been a few months, and they did give conditional support. No one was really opposed to the design or the variances sought, but they did want to make sure that the ownership was sorted out before this was passed, because there was some concern regarding the current property owners and having them potentially have these variances on the property that they own. And I know some of the community members are here to, I believe, speak as well. So if there's anything that they miss, I will add more, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Ms. O'Neill there.
Hi, good morning. Nice to see you all again. Tyler gave us a wonderful presentation at our block club, Auburn Lincoln Park Block Club. He met with contiguous neighbors. He shared the plans early on in the process. He took questions and adjustments from everybody involved. We like the design, we like the house, we like how it fits into the neighborhood. We like Tyler. We're concerned that he doesn't own the property yet. So the big question that came up was, will these variances be approved for Tyler and Tyler's plans and not for the property in perpetuity?
Okay.
That's it.
All right, well, we'll move on to Mr. Petrie.
I would just echo Kate's concerns. And also I would echo the fact that we do like the design. We were glad to approve it on the condition of transfer of property. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Britt.
Thank you. So I will let you know that if the variances are approved today, they will go with the property. We don't concern ourselves with who owns what. They will go with the property, and whoever owns the properties at the time, you know, but the variances go with the property. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. So then let me rephrase my question. If we're approving the variances upon the transfer, so they would not be approved today for the current owners. They would be approved for Tyler once he owns the property, and then they stay with the property, correct?
That's correct. We would hold ratification until he provides that he is the actual owner of the property.
Thank you. That was the concern for many members of the club. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Maurice.
Yeah, Madam Chair, as we stated already about the front yard setback, we think that the board can and should grant that variance. This has been approved by the Housing Design Review Subcommittee. We are very much in support of this. We're happy to hear that the Block Club and Ohio City are also, or I'm sorry, Tremont West are also in support of this. The garage, there really is no room for them to move the garage further back from the street. It is a very small site, but we don't think that they're overbuilding on this particular site. And as the architect, as Tyler indicated, the main reason for the increase in the square footage is the usable space in the basement, which, as you know, is something that we deal with all the time. So for all those reasons, we support the variances.
Thank you. I'll open it up to the board for questions, comments, or motion.
Madam Chair, given the testimony we've heard today and the support from the Block Club, from the CDC, from city planning touched on all the points as to why the variances are necessary in terms of the square footage and the setbacks and the garage issues. It seems that everyone is in full agreement and likes this design and would like to see it move forward pending the change in official ownership. So with that, I move that we go ahead and approve these variances.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Thank you. Ms. Brown with the second. Call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Ms. Bates.
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar number 21-143 is granted. We will hold ratification until we receive proof of ownership transfer. After that point, we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, great. Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Rice.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays to everyone.
You
Same
as well.
to you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. We're happy to be here to support a project.
We like supportive neighbors. Thank you.
Yes. We love when everyone comes together on something. So that's nice. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Holidays, everybody. Thank you again for a great year.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, last case, Ms. Faith.
Last case, here we go. Postponed from November 29th, 2021. This would be calendar number 21-179 at 4530 West 157th Street. Ramona Rudman, owner, proposes to erect a 14-foot by 20-foot, one-story frame detached gable garage in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance as stated in the agenda and the public record. The postponement was made due to technical difficulties. The representative could not log into the virtual hearing, and the postponement was made at the request of the councilman to allow time for community outreach. So with that, we will send it over to Member Brown for swearing in.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do. Diane Bijay, 818 East 73rd Street, Cleveland, Ohio. My video is not working. I'm hoping you can hear me.
We hear you. Thank you.
We hear you.
Thank you. We are, Madam Chair, members of the council.
Hold on. We have to finish yeah, we have to finish our whole spiel here, then we'll call on you. All right, history of the property, please, Ms. Cuckoo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, I found that in 1946, a permit was issued to erect a 1.5-story dwelling and garage. There are no variances on file, and in the more recent history, we found that in 2019, a permit was issued to install 14 new windows, and that's all that we have.
Thank you. History of the property, legal standard.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the garage placement requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request, 1, will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district. 2, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights. And 3, that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Great, thank you. Okay, Ms. Baye, I assume you are representing the owner today?
Yes, I am the contractor,
Yes.
New Creation Builders.
Liz, do we have a letter for that?
It was emailed in.
Let me check the file. Hold on one moment.
Go ahead and proceed, Ms. Baye. Either way, if we don't have it now, just send it again and we'll.
I will. I do have a copy of the signed contract if that would help as well.
No, we just need the letter, but go ahead.
Okay. Everybody, thank you for your time and consideration. I would like to state that we are trying to replace this garage exactly where it's presently located. Due to the conformance of 6 properties, 1 on the right, 5 on the left. Every one of the garages are located exactly 112 feet from the center of the street line. And we are really only asking for a variance of 20 feet. We would have to move their garage back 20 feet in order to comply with back of the yard.
Diane, this is just the existing condition, right? You're just putting the new garage where the old one was before.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's all we're doing.
All right.
And this homeowner just feels that she sticks her garage all the way in the back. She's not really going to look like the rest of the neighborhood. Plus, it would be a lot of difficulty for them to maintain that much driveway.
Understood. All right. City planning.
Madam Chair, you know, I wish all of them were this easy.
I know, right?
But this one, I mean, for obvious reasons, I'll go ahead and state them anyway. As you know, we take the new code that requires the garage location very seriously. However, in this case, they are definitely meeting the intent of the law, although not actually meeting the numbers. We would not want to have this garage another 20 feet back. It's perfect where it's at. It's in line with all the existing garages. It's behind the main structure, and that's the intent of the law. So we 100% support this, and we're sorry that this had to be delayed until this time because we would have loved to have approved it last time, but we had technical difficulties.
Yes, if all cases could be this easy. Okay, board members, any questions, or I'll entertain a motion?
No questions, Madam Chair. I think we've covered it. This is the standard is for the placement for the garage where it currently exists. We're just looking to put it on the same footprint. We haven't seen Diane in a while, and we know she does a good product. So we can't see her today, but we know we see her frequently enough. So with the input of city planning, we have their approval. So we want to just go ahead and approve this so they can get this project done.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Bates,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar 21-179 is granted. It'll be ratified on January 3rd, and we will send you a letter.
Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
Bye.
Bye. See you next
Bye.
year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty, old business 1 through 3 without objection, board.
Without objection.
And we have no affirmations or rehearing or postponements on the calendar today. We do have that our decision to uphold the city planning decision was overthrown in common pleas court. So we'll have to have a discussion about that at some point. I guess if they, decide to come back to us. So wanted to have that on the record.
That is for the Dollar General store.
The Dollar General store, correct.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's it. We are done for the year, everyone. I want to thank everyone for being present and having good hearings, and Member Brown for blending right in with us and giving us, your your wisdom of what you've been knowing about Cleveland, development over the years. So just appreciate you being on the board as well. And everyone have happy holidays, and we'll see you in January.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes. And I would echo Kelly's statement. Very happy to have you with us.